Good afternoon, all present here. This is Dhanush from Planetech Media House. What is Planetech Media House? It is an independent media house that offers a reliable source of news, information, and articles. We also offer genuine experience across an excellent portfolio of media by helping our audience understand what is the vast and diverse news out there. Today, we are with another episode of webinar Crafting Transformative Information. What is future of branding? We do have a resource of speakers out there. I would like to call upon the first speaker, who is Richa Singh, co-founder of Blogchatter and top 10 marketing and advertising companies globally. I would like to request you on the platform. I'm really appreciative to come here on a platform of Planetech Media House. Over to you, ma'am.
Hi guys, thank you. Thank you for having me over, of course. And I've been following their webinars. I've been seeing they've been doing a good job of, building a post-COVID or even an ongoing COVID business transformation series. So I'm happy to be here. I will, of course, be discussing how bloggers can shape marketing and brands specifically in today's time. I am not really good at a one-way speaking communication model. So I would love if you guys have questions, wherever you can post it, we'll be happy to take them up because that just makes the session a lot more interactive. I will take around 10 minutes to go through my material. And after that, I would love if you guys have questions and, we could just pick up the ones that feel relevant. Right, Dhanush, does that work for you?
Yes, ma'am. That will obviously work fine.
Okay, all right. So just to give you guys a background on what Blogchatter has been up to, we are, of course, a 4-year-old company. I was a popular blogger for 10 years in India. I know how blogging works in India, and I had a couple of doubts. I wanted that blogging should take a more international speak than what it had been at least 4 years back. So I had all these questions in my mind, but there were no answers. And so I created a platform where people could just come and ask questions, to each other. Experienced bloggers or even newbies could ask each other and we could learn together. We've been quite lucky in the kind of journey that we've taken. We never thought it would become a business entity, but it did. Brands discovered us and felt that this is a very unique model and they want to leverage it for their campaigns as well. So how we operate at Blogchatter is very simple. We've built this ecosystem where any blogger can come, register on our website, see what campaigns are live. You can interact with us, ask us any questions, and that's it. So the most frequently asked question for us is how to become a Blogchatter member. And we have a very simple answer for that. Come and attend one of our Twitter chats on a Wednesday, and that's it. And you are a Blogchatter member. So it's as easy as that. Now to get on with the topic at hand, if you notice how the marketing scenario has been for the last many years, is that most people today want marketing which is relatable, that they understand. The era of television commercials where you would have a 30-seconder or even a 15-seconder with a Shah Rukh Khan or a Sushmita Sen, delivering some smart copy line that has been written by another agency is practically over. Now I know that there are people around me who would question that kind of marketing and say that should we really believe that a Shah Rukh Khan is driving a night entry shooting, or that he's dropping his children. We know that this is only to capture the fancy of the audience, who might just be a little intrigued to see Shah Rukh Khan in a TV space. But the truth is that most of us now do our researches. We've started taking more effort in our buying decisions, right? All of us, before making a big ticket item purchase, research. We go on Google, which is our most favorite thing. We try and discover what other content we can be accessing on the subject. So that led to a different kind of a marketing. What we are now seeing is the rise of relatable marketing, and influencers and bloggers are nothing but they are human beings who are talking about similar subjects in something that you are interested in, right? Like we've been seeing this huge buzz around fitness and exercise, where a lot of these influencers and bloggers have been talking about how to remain fit and healthy in an everyday life, and that resonates with us. So that brings us to the most important part of what marketing has evolved into. And it is that people today do not be marketed to, they want to be marketed with. So, now when you have brand conversations, one of the key KPIs that the brand looks at is that if I rolled out a campaign, how many people are talking about it? How many people are engaging on that campaign? Because it no longer matters how many people just viewed your campaign, it also matters how many people are marketed with you in that subject, right? So that's how marketing has evolved. Now, bloggers have been doing a very good job of that in India also, though we have a lot of scope to grow, but definitely last 4 5 years has seen a huge change, which is that they bring to you that relatable content, right? The same Hyundai i10, if you watch a 25-year-old, Instagrammer, put it on his or her stories and posts that I'm taking it to work, or I'm going to meet my girlfriend in this, it seems very relatable, right? Because it strikes you as something that you might be doing. Despite the fact that you know that this could be sponsored content, the way it has been positioned, it's an extension of your identity. It becomes utility for you. So you access that influencer, and sometimes people ask questions that, all right, is it good for, say, a woman driver? Can I use it for, say, weekend getaways? And then that influencer answers your questions. So it seems like you are a part of an ecosystem with the brand, that it seems like that connect is there, that the brand is accessible. You can ask a question and get answered as well. So this kind of a marketing has really seen a lot of people taking it up. Of course, some of the celebrity influencers that we see today have become demigods to a younger population, and I'm even seeing that kind of behavior from older generation as well, who take to social media and who come back and say that we're following up with Shilpa Shetty's yoga exercises, or we kind of like what she does. So while earlier it was being called out as, say, a very 20 something behavior, we've seen a large shift. For example, at Blogchatter, we do a lot of work with Ensure, which is an Avid brand, and it's a brand for 40 plus. We have created campaigns that have gone viral online, and that is for a TG that is 40 plus, right? Of course, we had to activate WhatsApp in it as well, so we had to tailor it to the TG. But the fact remains that these influencers, when they were creating content, became relatable videos even for my dad, right? And even he thought that, yes, this might be an important product for me, or this is what I really do believe in. Otherwise, imagine if an Amitabh Bachchan was saying that, I'm taking Ensure, while it might sound fancy, but reality is that you do know that he has a more sophisticated nutrition or a lifestyle that's micromanaged by so many specialists around the world. So I feel marketing has evolved to be a lot more personal, a lot more reachable. No longer are we happy that our brands are sitting in Bombay corporate houses, detached from us, who do not know what's happening in a small town like Lucknow. Today, we like the fact that, there is an influencer in Lucknow who's using this product, and it feels like that brand is so closer home to you. So that is the bridge, at least the last 4 5 years, that we have seen. Now, since the buzz is post COVID, or in fact, even COVID, um, never before have bloggers or influencers, for that matter, even digital, been more important for marketing than today. And this is something that I want to take in further details. So there are a couple of things that we know. Consumer voices that have been captured by surveys are saying that we want the brand to tell us how they are fighting this situation, because people are scared that uncertainty of what might fall on them is rising every day. And in this journey, right, they are looking towards brands as, say, their own, their family, their friends. So if a brand comes out and says that I've created this work from home culture, and this is what I'm doing for my employees, and and that kind of puts out a statement that I am ready to serve you, that no matter what happens, we are here, we will provide service to your products, we will have our stores back in action, we are there, we're not disappearing because of this crisis, right? Now, brands can, of course, put on this human persona, and they should be doing it. A lot of communication professionals like me are consulting brands and trying to tell them that how you can humanize yourself, how you can bring, say, CEOs and CFOs and CMOs, come online, talk to them like, you would talk to a friend, that these are the things we are doing, this is what's happening behind scenes. But if you want to maximize this humanization, of course, there are bloggers and influencers, right? So if I'm a blogger and I start saying things like, guess what, so and so brand works for me, and in this crisis I have found them in my local grocery store, this is where you can find, they are a great substitute, I don't have my house help, so I'm going to make do with these kinds of chapatis that they are offering. All of this becomes a part of a larger conversation, and people suddenly feel belonged, that this influencer, this brand is facing a similar crisis, and that sense of community that marketers can latch onto is inside bloggers and influencers today. So, we have brands who reach out to us for twofold. One, of course, how to humanize the conversation, how to not sound that we know it all, we're going to do it, and yet to reassure that, what, we are here for you. The sensitivity of COVID crisis is that you cannot overpromise, and at the same time, you cannot sound like you are desolate as well. So that balance, I feel, is very well managed when you have, say, an influencer or a blogger talking about your brand. Because, for example, when I talk about a brand, or even when we make our influencers participate in a brand campaign, we tell them that do not do anything or say anything that maybe your followers looks at it and say that this is not Richa, or this is not the influencer I know. For that matter, like, I'm a huge control freak. I want everything in order. I mean, I will be like 5 minutes before at a meeting, or I will make sure that my meal plans are done for the week and I know exactly what needs to be cooked. And when it is not happening, that kind of crisis in my head is scary. Now suddenly if I say, oh, COVID crisis is not impacting me, and and I'm just living my life and I'm chilling with this brand, and the follower will be like, what happened to the Richa that we've been following for 4 years? Where did she go away, right? So I cannot do that. But I can say that yes, I freaked out when I wasn't getting my favorite chocolate, or when I wasn't getting a brand that I really love. And I waited patiently. I reached out to them. I asked them. They told me that these are the certain stores or e-commerce websites that are catering to this need. And then I got it. So this kind of feels a natural story to people, that this could have happened, and maybe even I can do this. Maybe I can find out if this product is available near me, right? So in a post-COVID world, no brand, I feel, can do away with bloggers or influencers, because this is the only channel that is really working. And that is not, if you notice how bloggers and influencers have been utilized by brands across the world, we were doing a certain analysis just for our own purpose, has seen the minimum negativity, or a sort of a burn back, that how can you talk about your brand when the COVID crisis and on. Because I feel that they also look towards bloggers and influencers as people who they aspire, right? So I mean, a lot of people in fact follow influencers because they want to become an influencer. So they learn what's happening, and they have that kind of respect for that influencer, that they will think twice before saying something against that influencer on a like an open public platform. So having said all of that, if I had to tell you what is it that has been working in terms of bloggers and marketing in a post-COVID world, what is going to happen is, please make use of influencers the way they want to be used. Don't imprint your ideologies or your marketing without even once thinking what they want to say. Hear them out. They have brilliant ideas. When you give a blogger, say, go ahead. This is my product. This is my speak. Talk the way you want to. That blogger will go an extra mile and deliver for you, because they will be like, this brand trusts me. This brand knows that, I can deliver this certain project. Second thing is, of course, select the right kind of influencers and, bloggers. Do not just randomly, fall for numbers. Don't look at somebody who's like at a 1 million following and you think that because they are at 1 million following, they will deliver. At Blogchatter, we mainly work with micro and nano influencers and deliver all our KPIs. So that's another call we've taken, because we feel that These are the people who really believe in a brand and then put their weight behind it. While a celebrity influencer or somebody who's like a north of 500K or 800K has become very transactional. He or she has come down to the fact that, I'm going to do one post and one video and that's it. But you talk to a micro and nano influencer and they will give you that whole story. We'll do this, we'll do that, we'll be attached to you for a month. So I would say micro nano influencers are going to play a bigger role in times to come. So don't run after following, please. And the third and the most important thing that I would want to tell bloggers and influencers is, forget marketing, forget brands. You have a very, very important and responsible role to bring positivity in the lives of your followers. So, you have to step up. This is your time. And if there was any phase that you had a chance to give it back to the society, it is right now. So change, be that person that you think a post-COVID world should be talking about. And trust me, the followers and the readers will obviously, give it back to you. The brands will love it. And before you know it, this can become a huge turning point for you. So, I mean, I'm maybe an eternal optimist, but I feel that bloggers and marketing in a post-COVID world will see a huge bloom. Of course, we require the economy to open up a lot more. The more the economy opens, the better that positive change we can see. But having said that, I don't think this is that, I would say industry that's not going to see a burn back. So that is it. Please ask me as many questions as you can.
That was really amazing to hear about a blogger's thing to get into a business stream. That was so amazing. You mentioned about branding, where I have many questions for you. As you said that it would be a interaction section that would be more interesting.
Please.
Uh,
Yes.
there will be like when you mentioned about branding something about it. So it is so important to have a personal branding or a branding of your own organization. How
Yeah.
does it turn out?
Okay, good. Little things matter. Okay, before you think that something really big will matter, it's the finer pointers. For example, block chatter is extremely resonant with the fact that they thrive on tea. So we have this whole banter within community, which is chai versus coffee. These are the little things that humanize you. Now we are a team behind a block chatter, right? So most people need to have a personality in the mind. What are block chatter people really like? So block chatter people, they love tea. And if you love tea, we love you. If you don't love tea, then we're looking down on you, of course, in a happy feely way. You need to stand up for ideas and things that are bigger than you. So we make it a point that every time there is a contemporary issue, the cyclone Amphan or COVID crisis itself, we've created centers on our website where you can go and find the NGO of your choice, see what kind of work they are doing and donate. So when you become bigger than your brand, then people start realizing that, what, this is a human behind everything else that they've been doing. And the third, and I would say that, perhaps something that people often forget is that you need to connect back with people. It cannot be a one-way communication alone. I remember long back when I'd come on Twitter, I used to love Cadbury's because every time I would tweet to them, they would reply, and not a bot, an actual human being. And that used to inspire me so much that, every time they would put out something, I used to share it again. So when you build that kind of empathy with the consumer or the user that you are targeting, they can never forget you. And they talk to you or they talk about you like a human or a friend.
That actually, yes, the Cadbury thing is absolutely true, because they're all because nowadays it's been all these bots replying to all our tweets and all our emails, which we just try to impress our own experience and stuff to the one company.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
Cadbury actually used to do that. Even I am one of the tribe, because even I love Cadbury too.
Yeah, see, you remember that, right? Because
Yes.
and if you were, say, my friend, right, and we would be sitting and talking about our online experience, and you would second me that, what, it is actually a very nice warm brand. So that conversation, the peer-to-peer recommendation that happens around a brand is so crucial today. We've seen Blogchatter grow not because we were doing something doing a fabulous job. But because we were making that one blogger really happy, and then from one blogger it became two and interacting with each other, and unfortunately we know how COVID model is,
Yes,
how it all spreads. So that's
absolutely.
how positivity around the brand actually grows.
And yes, that is, I would really agree with that. And blogging is like, there are different types of blogging. There's your
Yes.
YouTube blogging, your Instagram blog, your Facebook blog, something about a thing or something about news. We're trying to give it in a creative manner.
Yeah.
Which platform would you refer most is saying that unique? So if you start blogging in this particular platform, you can reach out people. How will this?
So the first thing is that when I say blogging, I mean a website. Okay, that's one clarity I want to give everyone. At Blogchatter, we've been doing this as a kind of a public service, movement. That if you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, and you don't have a blog or you don't have your website, you are an influencer, right? A blogger is always a person who has his or her own website, either as a self-hosted website, which is something like mine, subzeroricha.com, or like I had earlier, which was a blog, which is subzeroricha.blogspot.com. You can choose at whatever stage you are, but you are a blogger when you have your own property, right? Like something besides social media. So it's simple to remember. All bloggers are influencers. All influencers are not bloggers. So we keep this as a handy exercise to explain. But coming to your question, I'll answer it in two parts. One is, yes, please start blogging, because it is going to become a very important part of your personal brand moving forward. I have a friend in UK who told me that when you're applying for a job out there, you need to give a public profile, and that must have your thoughts on it, your writings on it, your ideas on it when you're applying for a job. So 90% of the people create a blog and put that in their resume. Now, I'm pretty sure the way things are moving in our country as well, where qualifications are becoming less important, skill sets are becoming more important, right? When we hire, we keep that as a huge marker. I feel this is handy. Have a blog. Let people get an insight into your thought process, and see what you've been up to. It could be travel, it could be food, it could be anything. But when I read somebody's blog, I get introduced to them in a much more deeper way than just say a profile or a resume. So please start a blog, guys. That's very important. It's super easy. You can come on our website. We have enough downloads. We have enough information. And even if you are not able to do that, I can connect you with community members. We do that as well. So, you'll be starting a blog. But say if you want to be an influencer, and what is the platform of your choice? I'd say if you're doing something which is very visual, say food, fashion, then yes, Instagram, because the medium is such that, it requires that fancy pictures and, that's your storytelling. But if you're trying to do something more entrepreneur, you have thoughts on technology, or you have thoughts on culture, religion, I feel Twitter is a fabulous medium, because and the kind of community connections that you can have, because people on Twitter want to help each other. That's what I've seen. My whole life has been on Twitter. So that is what I would say. And my third thing is, Facebook is dead, so just forget about it.
But that was really amazing, ma'am. And you mentioned about that you just started blogging with no mindset of business in it.
Yes.
How did you get this thought of okay, let me start this? How did you get this push up?
So I think I had been writing in my private space, which is a Microsoft Word, right? All of us do that. We scribble no matter what happens. Now, I'm a 2009 graduate, so I relate so much with the 2020 graduate, right? Because 2009 was a bad year to graduate. And I was out of work for almost a year because offer letters were pushed, revoked. So it took me a long time to get to work. I only joined in 2010. And in that phase, I thought, I'm going crazy. I cannot take it anymore. I'm overwhelmed with the crisis that is the recession. And I had my writings, and a friend said that, this is how you set up a blog, and why don't you just put it? So that's it. These were college rants, and, and what I'm experiencing as an unemployed engineer, and, what it feels like. It's just something that I did, and it grew. And I think I'm very blessed that I had some really nice veteran bloggers help me out. I was fairly young, and they were, much experienced. And that sense of community, I feel, is what Blogchatter is also. That if you are a new blogger, you should see the kind of love the community puts across. We just have to give you one shout out and say that, so and so is a new community member, just say a hello and say nice. So I feel when you spoke about the brand, that is what we may have achieved, that we've ensured community is synonymous as a word for us. So that's it. There was no plan, nothing. Even when I started Blogchatter, I don't think I thought this through. But we've been pretty blessed in our journey, and that's it.
That was really amazing to hear about your community members helping you to push you on to this
Yes,
stage.
yes,
Because
yes.
without
It's
that one shout out, I guess you would have, that help is needed by everybody.
that is, and not just somebody say who is a 20-year-old, right? We have a food blogger who is amazing, right? She goes on MasterChef Rajasthan and all of this, and she's a 56-year-old grandmother who obviously does not get technology, right? And she just sends us these mails that I don't know how to set up my website, and I cannot figure SEO, and I cannot, and we just connect her quickly to somebody in the community, and we get the job done. And now you should see her. She started doing these lives with her sons. She goes live with the cooking setups, and it's really sweet to see her. She'll say, can you see me, can you see me? But she's really good at what she does. So I mean, she's got a very good following all around, but still the tech part is a little difficult for her. So that's, in fact, that is what the beauty of blogging is. If you are a blogger and you do not get community, there's no point. There's no point of being a blogger if you do not know how to help random strangers. You're not doing internet right if you don't do that.
That I really agree with that. And there's one last question for you. And which was the first blog you wrote down and you were so happy about it?
First blog I wrote about, I think, was missing my college friends. That they had gone back to their own homes, and we were obviously struggling in that phase, but I was missing college. And I think that is the first one I published. So yes.
That was amazing to hear about. We do have a question and answers for you during the question thing. I will read it out loud. I can watch for a blogger chat. What do you think about blogs as startups? Like someone who is an expert in a topic like real estate, mental health, interior decoration, and build their business around a blog.
Yeah, of course. We have too many stories like that inside a community where people started blogging just because they had a voice, and then they built an entire company around it. They have hired people, they do events, they work with brands. We ourselves give a lot of paid projects to our bloggers. I mean, that's one of the key areas we are already focusing on, that a good portion of the community should get some amount of freelance work or blogger campaigns from us. How you can go about doing it is that I feel, yes, take the plunge, don't overthink. This process does not need a lot of overthinking. But if you're serious about the journey, don't go the Blogspot WordPress way. Something I did and I regretted it because I lost all my ranking when I went self-hosted. So my work sort of crashed, at least for a few months. It took me a while to get back everything. And so go create a website, super cheap and handy. Again, if you guys need help, please tell me. I have a nice website guy. I don't get any money out of it. Just something that we've been trying to promote, that everybody should have their own website. So, we try and connect you to that person, and make sure that you have a vision. You should know exactly what you want to do with it. Who are you catering to? And trust me, the simple rule of the internet is 1% of the people on the internet are creating content for 99% of the users. Okay, that's the internet culture, something that we constantly talk about at Blogchatter, that we need more and more content creators. People like Kim Kardashian have become billionaires because if you look at the content industry volume right now, it's in billions, like 100 billions. And with 1% of them just working, of course, the game is such that somebody will score. So, there is good amount of space, and definitely take it up as a second career. You can have a steady job like I did, and make sure that you keep building it on parallel, and you never know when it becomes huge enough for you to switch.
Yes, yes, no, that's for sure. That was amazing to hear about your personal blogging experience and your experience in all this blog chat and stuff. That was amazing to have you here. Thank you so much for being on Plantic Media House.
Thank you. Thank you. Tell me, how should I move out? Nabonita will come.
Yes, ma'am. I'll welcome. Nabomita, ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear and see me?
Yes, ma'am. I can see you. You're all audible.
Okay, awesome. Perfect.
Nabomita Mazumdar is the President Awardee, Top 100 Women of India by the Ministry of Women's and Child Development. Thank you so much for being on Plantic Media House. Over to you.
So, fine. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it's quite interesting on how to crack the code for marketing in a post-COVID situation. And just as Richa said, that this situation is not very different from 2009 when she started her career. I would begin that this is this. I mean, this kind of a it may not be pandemic, but this kind of a volatile situation, this kind of a um, challenging business cycles are regular. So I probably have been in business for a little longer period of time, so I have seen it repeatedly. When we were students, the 2001 happened, right? And then came 2009. 2009 was not good enough. Then came so many more, right? And now it's a pandemic. It could be something more tomorrow. Interestingly, every cycle that challenged revenue, that challenged the industry, that challenged jobs, taught us understanding what are the factors that we are most dependent on, right? Uh, the recent one, COVID, taught us that the new normal is is all about shattering geographies, shattering boundaries. It's completely a world that works not just physically but a virtual world, virtually too. The economy survives that way too. So yes, with the new normal coming in, geographies became irrelevant, right? It did not matter whether a person sat with his computer and worked from home from right next to his office in Bombay or 1,000 kilometers from Bombay or anywhere in the world. It did not matter at all. And interestingly, that's the trend all over the world. Again, that there's another thing that happened is the gender issues. Earlier, work from home was not really looked as a very, a very viable work option. Be it, I'm talking about the hardcore industry, the corporates, the MSMEs, the SMEs, whoever trusted the office culture, the FaceTime culture, being at work culture. They did not really look up to work from home as a work design. So this time, it did not matter who was sitting on the other side of the laptop and was answering the uh, client, was taking those team meetings. So gender became irrelevant, geographies became irrelevant, and economies worldwide were going through the same exact identical challenge, right? uh, yes, it meant a lot. It is creating a lot of losses to many industries. Look at it, it's a huge opportunity. It is teaching us on the factors that we cannot remain dependable for the rest of our lives. uh, Interestingly, 2010, when I started full time building a product. There came a concept called future of work. Future of work was all about being present where the work is required. Where the office design, the work design was ever changing, because essentially it was the business that was changing. And interestingly, there were many of us who started talking about future of work back then. And yes, essentially um, it was all about technology, and most of the technology companies were creating all these articles, and it looked like a PR effect initially, but it was not. It was essentially about a business pattern that was changing, a business pattern that we could see will impact the next 10 years, the next 15 years, the next 20 years of the businesses. That's exactly where we came up with a work design which did not require a structure, which was highly result oriented, where the talent was absolutely non-geographic, right? It did not matter where you belong to, you can still work for it. Uh, Last year, I was invited um, uh, to, a, um, to a session by the Swiss consulate, and over there, a product which makes work from Switzerland available in India possible. So a girl student engineering at an engineering college in Ajmer delivered a project in Switzerland sitting in Ajmer. That's future of work. So we already knew that was happening. We already predicted that was happening. Thankfully, a lot of companies were proactive in terms of building technologies, building people, building cultures. Obviously, it requires a lot of, lot of leadership. The leadership information flow, or uh, rather the entire work design to impact very differently. But then most of the companies were not, and they are the ones who have gone through the sudden knee jerk during since March, or rather April 2020. Interestingly, the new change has set them bar higher, set them up for even more volatile times. No matter what happens today, they have learned the business will go on. They have learned the work is going to go on. The teams have learned to perform. Essentially, the certain areas which is a mental block. Why we are talking about it? Because until unless we talk about business, until unless we talk about work design, we cannot go about talking marketing, right? So let's take this area first. So initially, teams thought work from home would be easy because they have been doing it practically every weekend. However, it was not. Practically every weekend, the work from home model was essentially a timed approach, right? You only work for next 48 hours from your home. And then after 48 hours, you're back in that mode, you're meeting the team, you're interacting, you have a live interaction, you FaceTime with your boss. Here, it was an indefinite period. So the concept of working in silos, right, that had to be tackled. I'm grateful leadership of firms took care of this. They accounted this, and this was taken care of. And how does this all lead to marketing? Marketing as a function is almost the backbone to any company, right? Without marketing, there would be no sales. Yes, you would definitely, no matter how good your word of mouth for your product is, the fact that there's a word of mouth is itself a marketing. So all these impacts marketing so much that in a post-COVID situation, the content, right, which was essentially earlier could be a larger version would be a larger area of marketing budget would go for print and television or even billboards. The post-COVID situation has brought it all up on internet, right? So this is where the employee ambassadorship has taken a step. Obviously, the HRs are again have become, HRs are now a part of an active part of the marketing team because the people are there, people are out there, the content is out there. So people, companies, content, the content consumers are all now working in much greater tandem because the rate of consumption of the content in the internet industry has increased drastically. Uh, one interesting article I just read probably an hour back, that out of this entire gloom and doom that we had, Parle-G recorded highest number of sales in 82 years. Why am I talking about it? Remember, just few months back, Parle-G was going through a real bad phase, and we were really worried that we don't want to lose the company because it had a big emotional value. Right, all those were meta details that we are still talking about. Once the lockdown started, this is how disruption takes place. Once the lockdown started, Parle-G was viewed as an instant food, the cheapest instant food which was available at any corner of the world. Interestingly, most of the NGOs, most of the government agencies who were distributing food included by default included Parle-G in the food. That itself increased the amount of demand that was there in the market. The exodus, who were returning, the migrant laborers who were returning home for a longer duration, did not have much access to food, but had access to Parle-G. So the marketing team of the Parle-G confirmed that they had been struggling to enter the rural sector. They definitely had a presence, but the expansion and the kind of reach that they were looking at the rural sector had already happened in the last 3 months. What do we learn out of this? Do we learn anything? Is there any pointers that we can take from it, irrespective of whichever product we are marketing for? Can we take a leaf out of this book and implement it while marketing, be a technology product, be a consumer durable product, or services will take a longer period of time. So I'm not talking about marketing services right now, but yeah, the other let me focus on the sectors, on the areas which are revenue definitely profitable, which remain profitable since the COVID had affected, since the lockdown started. So if we look at all those sectors, can we take a leaf out of the Parle-G's story? So to me, yes, this is the kind of on the foot marketing any companies will need. For 10 years, 12 years, 50 years, or even 100 years, you have been told how to sell your product. You don't know. You still don't know. Tomorrow, it's a sudden challenge. It's a sudden a volatile situation that will be thrown into the world, and then your users will tell you what your product is good for. The demand in the market is the actual data, not all those market research that you had spent tells whether you're a market leader or not. The demand that was created by your users is your data. If this is so during a time of crisis, can you look into the similar criteria beyond the time of crisis too? Can you implement these exact features to identify who exactly your users are? What are they viewing your product for? What exactly are they using your product for? What is the utility value to it? What would push your market tomorrow given there's a sudden increase in the demand? That's marketing, right? A little about us. I'm Nabomita Mazumdar. I'm a founder to a company called Nabomita.com. We are a media tech firm. We are into evangelism. What is evangelism? Well, it's we say it's exactly where marketing probably ends. Why? Because marketing is about creating the demand for your product, right? That's the basic definition for marketing. Advertising is telling the people what your product is all about. Evangelism is making your people, your consumer, tell you what your product is all about and why should it be sold in the market. Exactly the Parle-G story. Remember what I said before? That's evangelism. Everybody who had used Parle-G increased the sales. Obviously shattered the sales of 82 years. In last 3 months are evangelists of the product. Can this kind of an evangelism be orchestrated? Can this kind of a phenomena be repeated irrespective of a crisis or not? That's exactly where we work. Interestingly, there are different products that I started this firm. A little bit about my background. I had been building communities since 2006, and yeah, it was very interesting for me. Just as Richa shared her story, let me share mine too, if that helps anybody. This was the last year of my term at Excella, right? And in the final term, we were shown a presentation on HR communities. I saw every bit of it. I love the concept of communities, but I did not like what was shown. I walked out of the presentation. I spoke to a faculty of mine, Dr. Madhukar Shukla, and I said, sir, I did not like what I saw. He said, you're not supposed to like what you see. You're supposed to build what you like. I said, sir, what should it be? I don't even know. So he said, why don't you build a community of your own? I said, yes, sir, that's a great idea. I would love to do it. What is it? So he said that build a community for HR, which is open, anonymous, free to use. You can post anything what you want, any question, work related that you want, get proper answer from experts worldwide, avail any amount of document that you need at the point of your work. I loved that idea. Phenomenal. I loved it so much that I started Googling, and that's how I found a website which was doing exactly that. And this was the journey that started in 2006. I logged in, just as you might have logged in as a member on Facebook. So as a member, I logged into that website. And in 6 months' time, I started the offline chapter. It started from Pune and then spanned across the country. There was chapters internationally as well. And then for next 4 years, I was moonlighting. I was working with different corporates, but I knew that this community building is what I want to do. This online community, the kind of opportunity to bring people together, to get a solution to a person right exactly at the point of where they are, irrespective of the geography, just using technology and internet is what I loved. So that's where it moved. By 2010, I started full time into it. I gave away my corporate career, and obviously 2016. By 2016, we were on the top of Alexa ranking for HR communities, and I'm grateful. I was by then the partner of the community, partner of the company. But then that was the point of time I had received the President of India award. I'm grateful to. And I started, and I realized that I just want to increase. I just want to expand this kind of a work even further. And that's where I started with Nabomita.com, wherein we have been building communities for companies, for corporates who haven't identified user group or maybe the consumer group, and then that group tells them what product exactly do they want, do they need, and the company almost ends up serving them that. So this is beyond marketing, this is beyond advertising, this is more into ambassadorship, right? We call them evangelists. That's the word that we use. Community building goes very strongly with it. There's a lot of product evangelism that we have done, and product evangelism essentially in terms of technology, in terms of consumer durable, in terms of services. And we have also, I'm grateful, there was certain initiative by the government where we were, I'm so grateful that I could learn from, I could be a part of. And one of them were, I would want to give that example because that kind of a concept works irrespective of time, whether it's COVID or not. So that concept was all about we are equal, right? This was 2017, and Ministry of Women and Child Development launched a campaign called We Are Equal, wherein they were asking men, why do they think they are equal, right? All this while, women show up, women speak, feminism, blah, blah, all these things happen. This was completely a different take on that kind of a movement. And we found men from different corners of our country telling us why they think they are equal to women. Mind it, this is not about just the metros. This is not about the Delhis and the Mumbais of the country where the so-called privileged people live. It was from everywhere, the heartland of our nation, where people who have opened up their mind, ready for a future wherein they believe they are equal to the women around them, were talking. So that was evangelism, right? That's evangelism, a concept which allows you to take it to the exact person and makes that person actualize, accept, and then talk about it, be an ambassador for it. That's evangelism. So yeah, there were a lot many more corporate who really implemented this, companies worldwide. investors. I'm grateful to have been a part of a lot of. All of a sudden, it just went off. I was wondering what happened.
Nothing, yeah.
Okay, so yes, please. Do you have any question?
Yes.
Maybe it was a good, ready reckoner for me to check.
That was really amazing to hear about your presidency award and your face when he was telling you the good things around, and your community building
Just a
also.
minute, Niranjan.
Okay, yeah, that was really good about to hear about the president awardee you have been got, and that's so good to hear about it. And I do have a question for you. How important is branding for a corporate sectors during the corona crisis, and what is going to be the next branding for the corporate sectors after post-COVID? Because we see everybody uh, stuck to internet at homes. Is this a bloom for everybody to create something good for themselves, or after the COVID sense, if we all get busy with ourselves, we can't. Are we out of chances at those times? Just to explain.
Something happened last year, right? Obviously, there are a lot of merrymaker report and reports of every size and numbers on the internet that you will find, which will tell you the consumption of content on the internet in India. But there is something that I call it a phenomena that happened last year, and that is the World Cup cricket, right? Happened, and it was broadcasted on every Geo app, on every Geo users using the Hotstar app. What did that do? What was that tiny little change, right? Which most of us probably have even already forgotten about, do about it. It brought everyone watch cricket on mobile, right? Remember, we used to watch cricket on television. We used to flock on others' television in case the connectivity is not good at our home. It moved the user behavior from a large screen to a personal space consumption. And that happened boundarylessly across every tiers of economy, geography, culture within the entire country that we have. That itself is a good representation of the change that had already happened before COVID. Yes, with COVID, thankfully, we have all moved into a space wherein the schools have went online, the work was happening online, people were studying online. There is something that has also happened during this time. We have a geo mart coming up. So business is also getting pushed online big time. Now, when this had already happened, right, when the user behavior has already changed since last year because of the World Cup on Hotstar for Geo users and the Geo Mart coming up, setting shops online, what does it tell companies about? Again, I would, before I talk a little more about it, I would want to give that Parle-G example that 82 years, they did not realize what could push their sales up. Even months back, they were almost on the verge of closing down. Remember those reports on the media? We were so emotional about it. The entire company, even the owners, the best of branding companies, right? Nobody could crack what the last 3 months have cracked. So companies, corporates, take a relook. The user behavior have changed. The access to the internet has changed. People buying from the internet has also changed, right? The GeoMart, it will change even further. And once the kind of access GeoMart will create, everybody would start buying something, at least something from GeoMart at some point of time, irrespective of where they are. Imagine the kind of market segmentation, or rather the kind of size that opens up entirely because of this. Now, when you have a size like this, when you have a user behavior moved on so much, and when you have a Parle-G story that tells you not even 82 years is good enough for you to understand what sells your product, what should you do now? Go back to the dashboard. Look at why people are using it. understand what exactly will make them take those hard-earned money out of their wallets and spend on your product for the next few months in a cash-strapped world. If you're a B2B, if you're a B2B customer, if you're a B2B product or a service company, why will a company still pay you when their revenues are falling? Is your product going to help anyway? Would your product help you anyway increase their revenue? Whole help, retain clients for them, make their work smoother, only then it will sell. If you are a B2C customer, why will they still buy your product? Can they not just substitute it with something else? Right? First thing, how easily are you making it available for them? What level of hygiene are you looking at if you're a B2C customer in a post-COVID market? If you keep all these things in mind, I don't think finding a branding strategy would be difficult. But yes, certain kind of deal breakers, I'm sure you will have to keep. That's what I would suggest.
Yes, ma'am. Awesome. That was amazing to hear about the experience of branding on corporate sector. That was amazing about you. Your talk was so informative about this branding and stuff. Thank you so much for being on Tech Media House. We're really glad to have you here, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. And we shall end the session. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Have a good day. Bye-bye.